Live from New York. It's the show that will get fined if you rest 2 stars. And it's just me doing the show. It's first things first. Today, we start with Rodgers' future.
That was
Aaron
good watch.
taking to Instagram
Tricky.
to thank fans for their support. Said he was completely heartbroken, but ended on a positive note. The night is darkest before the dawn, and I shall rise yet again. A lot of emojis.
Yeah.
What does the future hold for Aaron Rodgers?
Well, I don't know. And here's what I mean by that. That statement means very little. Mm-hmm. And that is not an indictment on Aaron. That is not calling. That is, if we believe what Aaron tells us, his feelings on whether he's going to play or not play can change massively over the course of 4 days, much less over the course of 6 months, 8 months of rehab. Like, by Aaron's own words, he was 90% retired, and if he wasn't retired, was playing with the Packers, and a week later was totally unretired and only wanted to play for the Jets. Mm-hmm. That's what he told us. Now, I was skeptical of a lot of that he hadn't thought already about going to the Jets and that he was 90% retired. But that's what he told us. So right now, him saying I plan to play does not at all mean he's going to play. Now, I believe that right now he believes he's going to play.
Yeah.
If for no other reason, then everyone's like, he can't go out like this. And I'm just curious what people mean by this. Do they just mean this 4-play series with the Jets or this 4-year sequence? Because Rodgers' last 4 years, think about it, Brew, wins league MVP, plays in the NFC Championship game in a close, well-played game against the GOAT. Next year, wins league MVP, plays in the divisional round against Jimmy G, has the only playoff game of his life where he scores 0 touchdowns, scores 10 points. Does not make the playoffs. Has the worst year of his career other than his rookie year, 4 plays in a season-ending injury. It is a straight line down and then a precipitous drop, the likes of which all-time legendary quarterbacks, a lot of them have had terrible final years, or Marino had a terrible final game, the playoff, the 62-7, whatever it was, to the Jags. But for it to be this, like a cliff straight down, I think he wants a chance for a bounce back. So I believe that. The question is his body going to react? Is he going to want to do the things anyone has to do, much less a guy who's turning 40 has to do, coming off an Achilles? I think those are fair questions.
All right, first, I disagree with that. It's been a cliff straight down. I think the 2 MVP years were both obviously excellent. He won the MVPs. They were both 13-3 seasons. In the playoffs, I didn't think he was great against Tampa Bay either. Remember, he was bad in the first half or didn't do much.
Sure.
And then they rallied in the second half, but was the game really ever in the balance? You might say the second year was a little worse, obviously, in the playoffs, but still, MVP, 13-3. Obviously, last year was bad, and then this injury. But I also disagree, Nick. I don't think he said he's coming back. Like that statement.
You don't think so?
No.
When he says, I will rise again?
Yeah, this is a guy that we know speaks in code, right? And he said that could mean, he said, I'm heartbroken. It's tough right now. That could mean I know I'll rise back and I'll get my joy back and I'll be getting good spirits eventually.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just saying, I understand, Nick, most people taking it as an announcement that I'll be back, and it very well may be that. But I'm just saying, for a guy that has been vague with his comments on purpose, that could have comments that could have 2 meanings. I mean, this does leave the door open that I'm just talking about getting back to myself and all that. Now, football-wise, though, I'm a bit skeptical, and I was the most optimistic on this set about this season. I thought they'd make the playoffs. If he comes back next year, I mean, that's 2 years now removed from playing good football. Mm-hmm. His mobility and his being able to play off script were 2 of his biggest strengths. That won't be. I mean, he'll be 40, turning 41 in December. That won't be as
Coming
good.
Off an Achilles.
The excitement that this year was great up till the injury, right? I mean, it was awesome. The excitement that you can't duplicate that coming back next year, because in everybody's mind, in the back of their minds, it'll be, Is he gonna get hurt
Waiting
again?
for the shoe to drop.
Right. And so I don't know that you can recapture any of this. So I think retirement should be on the board. If he was 90%, this couldn't be the extra 10% and then some.
Well, the 90 went down to 0, but yeah, I mean, go ahead, Wilds.
No, this is just after turning 40 as a starter. These are the big names. Brady was great. Sure, I think that skews everybody's perspective.
Right, agreed.
Breeze was good, but won some games, and I'm a quarterback win guy, but obviously was limited and didn't look like an old school Drew Brees.
Correct. Each of those 2 years, at the end of the year, he looked like an older player.
Yes.
He looked good early and then looked like an older player.
Absolutely.
Favre, Moon, and then Testaverde. And here's the other thing. So it's like, oh, okay, you got a chance. Not on the graphic. We didn't have enough room. Everybody else who you've ever seen play quarterback
Didn't get there.
No, Peyton and Rivers and Big Ben, 39, they looked cooked. Eli, Ryan Fitzpatrick, 38. Carson Palmer, 37. Like, why did Carson Palmer leave? He's too old.
Montana didn't get to 40.
He didn't get to 40,
He
okay.
retired right before that with the
Kansas City?
Chiefs.
Okay.
And but so the other thing, and this is, and I think what you were alluding to in the tease, Wilds, this is a very precarious spot for the Jets organization.
Yeah.
Yes. Very
And
much.
I'm not, again, I want to be very fair here because I do have true empathy for Aaron Rodgers and how frustrating, just absolutely devastating this
Right.
must still be. I mean, it's still very fresh. So it's not his fault. But they're kind of held hostage at this moment. Like, what if the defense, let's just say the defense continues to be this great. Breece Hall stays healthy. Garrett Wilson looks like all these things. And you're just going to be in a holding pattern, hoping that you get a 40-year-old quarterback back for what at that point you'll have to anticipate is 1 year. And then
You have no idea.
right, no idea how he's going to look, and still have no plan moving forward at the quarterback position,
Correct.
lining up the primes of Sauce and Quinnen and Garrett. It's for the Jets fans and the Jets organization, it's an incredibly awkward spot. Because he has been a great teammate. He has been a great Jet in as far as how he's treated people, giving the money back, how he's conducted himself. It's him saying, guys, I want to definitely come back, keep my seat warm, does put them in a very tough position. And I don't blame him. Again, I'm not taking a shot. It's just the reality.
So there's a lot of heart there that you're talking about. He even signed the Instagram, like, proud of my guys. He's been there for 3 months. Do you think the Jets need to have a little bit more, let's say, a Belichickian spirit, where Tom Brady built the entire franchise, basically, and Bill Belichick's like, nah, you're getting old. We ran the numbers. We're going to let you go. Do you think someone in the Jets organization, or you think there's so much emotion, they won't do that? Outside of contractual
I think the latter is probably true, that they're so emotional. They're the Jets. They're not any special franchise. So they probably won't do it. But, yeah, they need to really strongly consider cutting ties with Aaron Rodgers. They really do. Because, again, even if he comes back next year, what's he going to look like? The excitement is not going to be the same. And chances are he doesn't play that well. And the thing is this, if you stick with Zach Wilson, you might as well have Aaron around for next year. But if you really want to go out and get, if they were to trade for, say, a Matthew Stafford, or even if you bring in a Carson Wentz, and he may play well.
Enough.
You know, I mean, seriously, though. You look at Wentz's numbers, you know this, Nick.
Come on.
Last year was bad in Washington. But up to that point, I mean, he had years that Zach Wilson can only dream about.
But he was pretty bad at the end with the Colts, and his teammates tend not to
that
like him.
last game was bad. But I would think he's been humbled.
No, maybe. I mean, the picture he put out where all his 4 teams, that seemed like a spoof someone would do to someone rather than something he did to himself.
Well, it was maybe bad.
But the point just to be quickly here, the point you're making about cutting ties or, being more Belichickian, this is where, and again, I'm really trying not to pile on because I do feel badly for the organization that this happened. This is terrible luck, and I feel badly for Aaron. But this is why you don't start talking, this is the final piece of our Super Bowl. This is why we're going to be great. This is talking giant picture about a soon-to-be 40-year-old player because now you are tied to him. It's not just 3 months of the organization, Wilds. It's the guy that they said is the crowning final piece, not of beating the Bills in week 1, not even of winning the AFC East for the first time in 20 years, of being a Super Bowl champion. And when that's what you've sold to your fans, then you can't then tell them, okay, actually, we're done with him.
You could at his age and with this injury.
I don't think.
And even if you want to soften it, give him some ownership down the line. I mean, seriously. Like,
Drew loves handing out ownership.
It's great, not a minority shot. That's it, not the majority.
Well,
but I'm just, wouldn't it? If you're the New York Jets, having Aaron Rodgers in your ownership,
like a Brady Raiders thing.
It's a total win. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Jets
Soften
rolling with Zach Wilson, although they are looking at bringing in a third QB for the depth chart. Retired QB David Carr writing on NFL.com. Signing a veteran free agent like Carson Wentz or Matt Ryan could be disastrous.
Could be.
Potentially disrupting the chemistry in the QB room. Could be. Here's Robert Saleh.
Yeah, listen, let's set the number. Right now, does anyone at this table think Zach Wilson, let's just give him health, starts 16 games for the Jets? I don't.
I do.
I think it's possible.
I hope so.
Really? No, hold on.
It's possible.
It's possible. At what? How low would I have to put the number? I know you're not a gambler, so just theoretically, for you to bet the over. If I set it at 4.5 starts for Zach Wilson.
You don't think he's starting?
No, I don't. And I don't think the Jets.
So who are they bringing in, though?
Anyone else. Anyone else. Because, and here's the thing, and this is, again, not Zach's fault.
Well,
arguably, no, this part is not Zach's fault. Arguably, 3 worst possible opponents for the first 3 games. First one, you have the Cowboys and maybe the best defense in football. That's not great. Second one, we have the Patriots. How has Zach Wilson done in his career against the Patriots?
Not stellar.
Let's show. Well, no, we can show you. I've never seen this before. A passer rating lower than the completion percentage. I didn't know it was possible. Josh and I were crunching the numbers to try to see if we've ever seen that before. By the way, Belichick's career, the only quarterback who he's played 4 or more times with lower passer rating, Sam Darnold. And then the last of the 3, the Chiefs. Why is that terrible? Their defense may be good, may not be good. Why did Zach Wilson go number 2? Who did he remind people of? What was the comp? Patrick Mahomes.
I don't remember reading that.
It wasn't my comment.
No, Brew, you agree with me. That was
really?
Yes.
It was ridiculous.
Yes, of course. So my
that
point
was a great throw at
but that is what happened. So you're going to have the Cowboys pass rush and defense, the Patriots, and then after those 2 brutal games, you're going to have whatever. That's a national TV game when people say, coming out of BYU. People said he could be Patrick Mahomes. Let's see how Patrick Mahomes looked his first 3 years and show the MVP, show the trophy, and poor Zach Wilson. He's not going to be the starter. So I agree with Robert Saleh in this regard, Brew. It's not Madden. You can't sign someone on Wednesday and then start Sunday, which is why
Baker.
The sooner Baker in 98-yard drive to win the game, but you don't like him. The sooner you admit that and are honest with yourself and bring in Jameis or bring in Jacoby or bring in
Carson.
I'm not a Carson Wentz guy. Davis Mills, guys, someone like that, the sooner they can play quarterback for you. Because Zach Wilson is not going to be your quarterback at the bye. He's not.
Look, I hear what you're saying, and it makes a lot of sense. I do give him a shot. And you're right. I mean, he's going to get eaten up this weekend.
And next weekend.
Dallas, and then you got to face Belichick. Like, that game, they kind of have to win. For him to have any chance.
Well,
but not win
they have to try. They have to be able to win that game. And then they got Kansas City. But look, like I said yesterday, I'm making calls. And it can be the guys you mentioned. I would throw Carson Wentz in there.
Can I read you a quote just so we can stop talking about Carson Wentz?
Nick, even his last year in Indy, was it 27 touchdowns, 7 picks? I know he was bad at the end of the season. And he was horrible with Washington.
He's not going to do
But the kid has far more talent than Zach.
Let's hear more here.
All right.
Zach Kiefer of The Athletic. Tell me if you like this stuff, bro. I've been working with you for...
For you is correct. We all work for Brew. That's correct.
15 years. Tell me if you love this stuff. Zach Kiefer of The Athletic. When he left the Colts. Colts grew frustrated at what they deemed a lack of leadership, a resistance to hard coaching, and a reckless style of play, which had a role in several close losses this year.
Right. Agreed.
So they went to Washington. Ron Rivera started him, and then they're like, no, we don't like this either. So now he's
But he's
wandering.
I don't like Wentz either. He's better than Zach Wilson. Yes.
And again, look.
Zach Wilson bought the offensive line scooters, and you guys act like it's not a good job of leadership.
A big part of Carson Wentz's problem has been the locker room. Has been guys not liking him. So, part of that is he thought he knew everything.
Yeah.
He has been humbled. And I'm not trying to say he's going to come in and be Superman, but he, as Nick even said, appears like, we'll see what Zach does, but all indications are he is light years ahead of Zach Wilson.
Everybody is. There was no here's the thing.
And he's had some great moments in the NFL.
Carson Wentz.
Yes.
Yeah, of course. He has
that came from somewhere.
They wanted, obviously, to trade him, Zach Wilson. There was no market. There was an instant market. It was tepid, but an instant market for Trey Lance.
Well, it's one guy.
No. There was one guy offering a fourth, but the reporting was that he blew the other offers out of the market, which means there were other teams.
Able to see Trey.
Right, but that's my point. My point is, and this isn't me caping for Trey. My point is, Trey went third in that draft, Zach went second. Both could have been gotten at various points this summer. There was at least a few teams willing to take on the guaranteed money for Trey because of the possibility he could turn into something. There was no market for Zach. And the tape is out there.
Yeah.
We'll
I know you and
We'll
Josh are grinding the all 22. You got to grind more Zach Wilson all 22. It's not good.
It's ugly.
It's bad all 22.
I know it's not good.
I don't know. I think you're.
But let's look. I do
student.
think, Nick, they are right to give him a shot. This is his third year. They have the one victory to play with. Hey, wow, we got to win. So now you got a little time to see what he can do. And if he's terrible, you move on.
If it goes this week in the way we all think it will, even if you're going to leave him the starter in name, you must acquire another quarterback this time next week, earlier than this next week, so they can start learning the playbook, so they can play darts with Nat Hackett, so they can do the various things you need to do to be able to play quarterback for the Jets.
Josh Allen's confidence next on FS1.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.